far and away in space. It's another edition of Caramander's Log. How you doing, everyone? It's your boy Flobo Boyce, part of New Amsterdam Entertainment Record. I want to thank you all for coming out here as we flying through space, man. A lot of stuff's going on in this Jonathan Frakes directed episode of Star Trek Discovery. We're calling it The Sanctuary. But I am not alone. I want to introduce first. He is a man so engaging, he would leave a trance worm on red. My captain, John Webber. How's it going, sir?
It's going very well. Thank you, Flobo.
Yeah, getting the rest of the Thanksgiving meal out the way.
Tonight I have to do after the show, and I'm always hungry after the show. I have no idea why. No idea. You must work me really hard on this show.
Oh yeah.
Build up an appetite, but I've got to go up, check the fridge for every last morsel of Thanksgiving, and make sure that it gets eaten tonight. So
what's left?
Last I saw there was some stuffing, so yum. And It was good stuffing. And I think I think I told you I made my onion casserole. Made my
the world famous, yeah.
My creamed onion casserole. I believe the family has left me one onion. Yeah. And I know there's some turkey because I'm the only person in the family who eats dark meat.
See, dark meat doesn't get the love it deserves, man.
It does not. It's flavorful. It's delicious. It's actually got more protein in it. It's got more calories, but do I look like I worry about
I eat the tails, and so the tails are the most fattiest part of the bird, but that's just me.
Tails and necks, man. That's like going back to our ancestors who had to eat the deep cuts, man. Yeah, I'm with you.
We're also poor. He's not alone. He's being joined by our special guest this week, a guy who is kind of weird, but that's scientifically speaking. Give it up for the chief engineer of the USS Postshow, Mr. Jacob Giles. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, you guys finally dragged me up from the engineering department.
Yeah, it's kind of this work exchange program, so you don't get run around our HR department. I totally glad you showed up today.
The great thing about it is, no matter how far I am from engineering, the warp core still echoes in my ears.
What's going on with that? We should probably fix that. Where's
the earmuffs?
Right. Well, I mean, this is we're more than halfway through the season, and we're getting a lot more questions answered about the bird and all that crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. Jacob, we'll start with you, man. Just overall thoughts today's episode, The Sanctuary, book and his problems, Dorjo, all that good stuff.
Well, I mean, literally, they left us every time we think we're getting closer to what's happening with Giorgio, we get further away.
Yeah, that's true.
Deep.
Especially this week with the whole her phasing in and out, almost like that programmable matter that's now in the consoles.
Oh wow, good. I hadn't made that observation.
Yeah, same here.
That's a good one.
It's not as pixelated as it, but it's really weird in the same kind of vein. It didn't occur to me until probably about 20 minutes before we went on that none of this was really happening before she encountered Dr. Creepy at Starfleet Command.
Played by, do you know that one, Jake? The man who's playing him? The filmmaker David Cronenberg.
Really?
Canada's Stephen King.
I'd actually I've not met him. I'd never seen him before, what he looks like.
Stephen King?
I had to look him up. No, I love his movies. I've been watching his movies since the late 70s when I was a young man, and I had to look it up, and I was like, "What, David Cronenberg?" And yes, he's so creepy. You're right, very creepy man.
Yeah. One of the main questions I was left with from this episode is when they take the cat off of Book's ship, does it overload the pattern buffer? That is a massive cat.
That is pretty large.
That's a lot of cat.
That's a lot of cat.
I'm really kind of getting into the character of Rin, the Andorian.
Yeah.
The makeup for him must be much quicker than it was for Enterprise without having the antenna that had to move like they did on Enterprise.
Right.
Right.
All in all, it's a really, really good episode. I like getting more into Book's backstory.
Yes. Yeah.
And we finally see the big bad for this season. She wasn't that intimidating.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because she had a whole Karen vibe, but
that's literally what I thought. I'm like, oh god, Saru is facing down the space super Karen.
Well, let me ask you, John. I mean, this is episode 8. You know, you've been with us week after week. My captain, how's the voyage going?
I got to tell you, I'm always gratified, and I think I may even say this every episode. I'm always gratified by how they set up these mysteries. It looks like this is going to remain a very opaque, blank future, and then all of a sudden they'll break through right away and jump certain things forward. So yeah, we do have an idea now of how serious the Emerald Chain is, as Jake mentioned, our big bad. And now is this remind me, because I'm an old man, remind me what's the gal's name again?
Which gal?
The green gal.
Osira?
Osira.
Yeah.
Which is weird. That's a weird name. Because she's Osira the Orion. She's an Orion Osira. I don't know. It's got a weird flow to it for me. And then
it immediately made me think of Stargate. Oh gosh, we got Osira.
It just
Stargate.
We've got gold in Star Trek. Great.
Flobo, one of these days I got to drag you through some Stargate because I'm telling you that is a fun show. It is less than
in a couple of years. Okay. When I was younger, it played in the afternoon, like after the cartoons, after sports, like at 6 p.m. on a Saturday. It's like before Hercules and Xena. It's Stargate, and you're like, okay, that one black guy was kind of weird in the back, but okay, I'm with it. It's SG1, I think, because there was Atlantis as well, which I didn't see.
And then there's the universe, which was horrible.
Yeah.
And for me, I have to say they got better. But anyway, we should get back to this episode. Here's the thing,
slip between parallel universes now.
Right.
Do you guys remember? Here I say we should get back to it. And now I'm going to get you a reference that gets us out of it. Do you remember? I believe it was an afternoon show. It might have been on Fox Kids, and it was, I think, Beetleborgs.
Oh yes. Oh, big bad Beetleborgs. They had this guy named Flabber, like Jay Leno with a giant nose. Yeah, that was my jam.
Built up nose and this
outside
weird
of SpongeBob and Lower Decks, I stopped watching cartoons.
It wasn't a cartoon. It was that time where they hit gold Power Rangers. There was a bunch of clones. It was like Masked Rider, VR Troopers, Beetleborg. There were kids that got into giant Beetle. Oh my gosh! Oh my goodness! Oh my brain.
When I see Osira, I just see that built-up chin that they give her.
She's Flabber!
And she's Flabber! Dude, she's Flabber! You got to check that character out, Jake. You'll look at it and you'll be like, oh, gross, I hate this now.
If Jay Leno and Liberace had a kid, but he was blue, that was Flabber. I mean, that's the best way to describe what Flabber looked like. I can't believe you just brought this up. My brain...
You know me. It's a unified theory of everything for me. There's always a little bit of Stargate in what we're watching. There's always a little bit of this, and a little bit. And now we finally got into the Fox Kids afternoon schedule. And now we've got a touch of Beetleborgs in our Discovery now.
Oh,
so
who
knows? Maybe they can operate the Spore Drive.
Yeah, why not?
I totally dig where we are. I think she's a great villain. I really like her confidence. I like her cruelty. And, one of the things I've always loved about Star Trek is they set up that these people are like this. There's exceptions. The Vulcans are all like this. There might be some exceptions. The Romulans are like that. And we're really seeing a lot about Orions and Andorians, which have been kind of underexposed, underused in the Star Trek universe. So I'm very happy.
Enterprise was really the only series in the entire pantheon that really actually explored the Andorians.
Yes,
I haven't got there yet.
Exactly. And because Enterprise was so Vulcan heavy, they made such a great point with the Andorians are like the opposite of Vulcans.
Yeah.
Like everything you admire about a Vulcan, an Andorian's terrible about that. And they're also just, Jeffrey Combs as, I know his
Jeffrey
name.
Combs. Shran.
Shran. You're a genius. Shran was
Enterprise is my second favorite series. So.
There's a lot to be said for Enterprise. There really is. I think if I put my top 5 together, it might be number 5.
Yeah.
But I have gone back and gone, I need to learn more. I need to give it another chance. And yes, their treatment of the Andorians set us up for this show beautifully.
Wait, what's number one, Jake? I'm curious.
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, I always have to pay homage to the Cisco.
Okay. I mean, people don't. Can't stand DS9.
Yeah, DS9's my number one, and then my number two is Enterprise and TNG, kind of tied.
Yeah,
I
will say of what little I've seen, I do prefer DS9 over TNG myself.
Yeah,
but
Voyager's like the back.
Thank you.
Wow.
And what freaks me out is I thought I didn't like Voyager because of my sort of vestigial misogyny of like, oh God, this is just the most wussified show. You know, you got like Chakotay, who's a badass captain on his own ship. He runs his own little cell of the Maquis, and then when he gets
no character development,
he gets together with Janeway, and then he just becomes the no character developmental boyfriend. He becomes the supportive boyfriend, which is fine.
That would work for Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman, sure. But we gotta move. I'm sorry. So you mentioned the confidence of Osira, and I have it in my notes that she is so confident she has 141 2/3 chance of winning. Here's the deal: she is the big bad of the season. The Emerald Train is bad news, but why is Starfleet Command so afraid? Let me start with you, Jack. I'm sorry, with you, Jake. Why are they looking at them going, I don't know, we should do anything, we should engage with them? Is there something more at play here?
Well, I mean, if you go with standard Star Trek storytelling, I haven't seen an Enterprise yet, so any Federation that doesn't have an Enterprise should be scared of everything. Especially when your two named ships are Discovery and Voyager J. But I mean, we've seen it. There's no fleet. They can't leave Federation headquarters because they're powering that cloaking field. We don't know if Deep Space Nine is still out there. We don't know if Starbase 28 is still out there. Those are two of the big major star bases in the Alpha and Beta quadrants, respectively. Right. So, I mean, they're on their own. They don't really have the resources to fight a war against an extremely organized crime syndicate.
Okay, well, you put it that way, then yeah, duh.
And, you know, the reason why the crime syndicate is so successful is because there are no rules for them. So they do enslave and they do, you know, pillage and murder and they do all the things that, you know, in sort of human law? Nah, that's too small. Intergalactic law would frown upon these things. They break the laws. That's why they're successful.
Well, I mean, you could hear the disgusted Saru's voice when slavery came in.
Yeah.
You know, that's a Federation thing, you know. They will flat out stamp out a planet that has slavery.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of way cool to say. We'll stamp out a planet. But, you know, General Order...
Well, not the same way the Death Star, but, you know.
Yeah, well, I hope not. That'd be a whole different...
Starfleet Intelligence will subvert it, or Section 31 will subvert it to the point where the government changes.
Yeah. So we all talked about Rin. I mean, this is a guy that has his own backstory. He got his antennae cut off. You know, at first he wasn't willing to cooperate because of what he thought the Federation stood for. And then our new number one, Tilly, was kind of taken aback by this. What the truth is out there of what the Federation is capable of. Now, it looks like that Rin's going to be on a good guy. He's going to be on the side of things. But what's that say if they have to convince everyone to join their cause in episode 8 of this season with the Federation is on the right side of history? Thoughts?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's what I do, baby. You know.
Well, when it comes down to it, I mean, we did see, going back to my favorite, Deep Space Nine, Starfleet's not perfect. The Federation's not perfect. I mean, Cisco nuked a planet to get his hands on one Maquis.
Right.
So, I mean, we know that in desperate situations, Starfleet can do things that are morally objectionable. Also, just look back to the movie Insurrection. They were going to forcefully relocate the entire Baku civilization.
Right. They were being manipulated into doing that. I mean, to be fair. But but it was a situation where they could be manipulated because the Sona were so powerful and so resourceful and had things they wanted. Yeah. And yeah, that's where you learn that Starfleet, just like in last week's episode, we just keep seeing that Starfleet became such a big, giant, too big to fail organization, and it made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah,
I'm very excited that Rin is even more in this episode now. There's something kind of magically messianic about him.
Well,
and
why do you think so? Why?
Oh, well, because he has a conscience. And that's something that we normally think, well, that's only a Starfleet, characterization. That's only a Starfleet characteristic. Thank you. And that's, of course, not true. Nobility is everywhere. A book is noble. Book's entire planet is noble. So there's nobility everywhere. Starfleet does not own the all of the nobility.
Right.
And now we're seeing, a lot of people don't trust Starfleet, and they may not trust Starfleet for the rest of the series. As far as we know, they might be spending the rest of this series trying to reestablish their credibility.
Yeah.
Damn.
And I mean, the thing is Starfleet really started losing credibility towards the end of the Next Gen era, because you started seeing the writing really started pushing the honor and the what's the word I'm looking for? I guess it would be the honor and the dignity of the Klingons more so than the Federation.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially during DS9 with everything with Worf and his interactions with the Empire, Starfleet kind of started looking a little bit less honorable than the Empire.
And very, what was great about DS9 was you realize how vulnerable Starfleet was. That it wasn't this, Superman of all organizations. That it was just as vulnerable as any kingdom, as any planet, as any government.
Yeah, so let's talk about this conflict here with those sea locusts, which, I don't know about you guys, tripped me out because those are definitely the shape of viruses. If you look into any kind of medical book, that is the shape of a virus, but they're looking all pretty and stuff like that, but just, totally going after the harvest, and I'm going to try to get the names right. Book's brother, Kahim, was really the one on the planet with the task of bringing in Book to the authorities or to the Osiris, the Emerald Chain. Now, here's a question I have. The idea of having the Book and his brother be the empathic connection with the amplification
right.
of Discovery was pretty novel. But some people might say, I've been reading some of the chats over on the spoiler things on group, that was a little bit too easy peasy for this situation. I just want your opinions about this storyline. I was okay with it watching it. I thought it was awesome. I thought it kind of made it more of a crime of the week in this grand story arc, and we didn't have to make this drawn out. But there's some people who say it was a bit of a shorthand and shortcut.
You're going to see that. I mean, we saw that last week where, Vulcan law is that they assign me a lawyer, and it's my mom.
Yeah.
Right.
They got to cut some corners.
That was my only complaint about that episode.
And yet I will defend it just in the sense of, as writers, and all three of us have written stuff at different times. As writers, that there are ways that you can jump everything forward by having something shocking happen. And that's usually how you end an act. So, yeah, for that to be one of them is a little cheap. 20 years ago, it might have bothered me. 20 years from now, it might bother me. Right now, I'm just digging it.
Cool. And the idea of him being and his son being like on board or being an ally, are you on board with that? Yeah. I think I am. Why not? He gets to peel off Linus's face because he's shiny.
I love that we got Linus again. That's the best. I'm loving Linus.
Linus should at the very least be in the background of every episode, either sneezing on somebody or accidentally transporting somewhere.
I mean, that poor guy. He just cannot cut a break. He's their mourn.
He is.
Mm-hmm.
Except he talks.
The DS guys know what I'm talking about. He's the funny guy. Actually, maybe he might even be their Rom. He's like the funny, he's like the Ziggy on the ship.
Right.
I'm skipping around quite a bit.
But not Gizmo. You don't want to be that guy. Dated myself.
But I like the empath thing, going back to that, because we had already seen it with Book communicating with the Transworm in the very first episode of this season. We'd already seen him using his glowing forehead powers. They haven't really established what empath is. So his thing was, I can talk to them, but I can't control them. I can't order them. I can just speak to them. I can ask them, which goes back to the Beta Z power of I can detect what they're feeling, but I can't read their minds, and I can't give you any solid answer.
Yeah, the watered down Betazoid abilities of Deanna Troi. Those pesky human genes messing everything up.
Well, we can't make it magic. We can give you enough to get the story moving, but we can't give you enough to answer questions. What are they thinking? Right. I don't know, but they're very confused and hostile. I kind of got that.
I do have to disagree with Flobo on one thing. What you said that the sea locusts looked like. Now, I don't know if John's a big video game guy back in the 90s like I am.
Oh,
but they really reminded me of the floaters from Fallout 2.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
Little tiny ones.
Interesting. Interesting.
Still gross.
Jake and Flobo, have you guys watched Picard?
Yes.
Yeah.
They reminded me of the blue butterflies on the synth planet.
Yeah.
And then there were, was it on the Trill planet? We saw more blue little insects. So, like, blue insects are very big this season.
Yeah, they really are.
And that's this week's fashion report.
Blue insects in.
Hey, I can even confirm that from another area of entertainment. Elder Scrolls Online, for some reason, Sheogorath always disappears into blue butterflies.
Interesting.
Why not? It works. It has like a whole, ethereal thing going. Which
I feel like there's some dialogue going on between special effects engineers right now, where they're like, "Have you seen my blue flitty thing? Oh yeah. Well, how about my blue flappy thing?"
It's like Wilhelm screaming sound design.
Anything you can do, I can do better and bluer and floatier.
And floatier. One of the things I wanted to talk to you before we move on to the many different storylines, because we didn't even get like an A story and a B story. We got like an A story and like a bunch of tendrils from that A story, which is kind of interesting. Makes my job harder, but I ain't complaining.
We kind of went 5 different directions in this episode.
Yeah, exactly. And we're only a quarter of the way through. Let's talk about Saru, man. He's trying to get that captain's command down, getting more comfortable, having Tilly as his number 1. I actually like Execute. The ship didn't as much. What's going on, Jake?
I don't know where it's written in Starfleet protocols where you have to have a unique way to tell the ship to go to warp, because if that's a regulation, then Janeway broke it every week.
Yeah,
because she just stole Picard's.
Yeah.
Cisco never really had to use it because it was a space station.
Right.
But it's a bit of comedy just to see Saru kind of humanize himself a little bit, trying to do something that's gonna kind of pop the crew, but all it's doing is popping us as the audience as he completely and totally. Yeah, I know. I'm mixing up my terminologies.
Leave forever. Leave forever.
As he's
Tilly walks in, they're like, "You deserved it." What I love about it is this is as you said at the beginning, Flobo, this is a Frakes episode, and Frakes always finds a way to find the comedy. And to just that moment of like when they're talking about Linus shedding, and now he's not allowed in the lunchroom anymore.
Yeah.
And while Tilly says that, she does the little takes the piece of skin off Saru and
right.
That's like staged comedy. That's and I love it. I love it because it can be such a serious, grim show that these little moments are golden nuggets.
Oh yeah.
So we're not a fan of Manifest? I mean, that's cool. Manifest.
Manifest.
So going back to that little tirade we just had, does that mean that Detmer's joining Dark Order?
Ooh.
No, she is way too cool now. Because I don't know if you know this, Jake, that my captain calls this show Star Trek Redheads, and a redhead got a chance to shine. Old school Detmer flying through space, man, with Book's ship. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I just love the look on Book's face, like, that's my ship.
I know, if you'd seen how she was handling it.
Well, he
man.
said it got hit by at least 12 photon torpedoes.
Yeah.
I loved that Detmer moment so much. This is a weird, very like heterosexual thing to say, but I'm talking to the right guys for that. But I'm just, if anybody's watching it and they go, wow, what a straight guy thing to say. I love how the show has put femininity into masculinity often enough. You've got your characters. Like, I'm never uncomfortable with the scenes between Culber and Stamets when they're like climbing into bed at the end of the day. Totally comfortable with that because they're a good couple.
For a different reason, but I don't know.
I honestly, somebody actually asked me about that a while back, and my response was, "They're a cute couple."
Aren't they? It's just me. Because I know very little about Star Trek. The fact they jump into bed wearing red shirts, it's like, wait a minute. Could it be any other color? Like, why would you wear that to bed?
They jump into bed wearing red shirts, and suddenly there's a hull breach.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
What is it? What is
the
it?
script says.
That old meme with Kirk and the 3 red shirts. Dig 3 graves up there on the hill. I'll tell you why later.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I always like. I hope you're all fine. Sorry to cut you off, John, but that was always my thing when they.
But we've established, and we did it through a conversation between Culber and Detmer, that she's macho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, constantly balance. There's all this balance between feminine and masculine. And Detmer, we know she's a little cray-cray.
Yeah.
We know that.
Ever since she took that bump on the implant, she's been really bad. And I think, because I don't know how much that Flobo told you about me, John, but I originally came from the NFL side of things.
Mm.
And I really look at her development over this season being that of, say, a running back who blew his ACL.
Oh, wow.
She's really timid about using herself again.
Right.
She's really timid about putting herself out there.
So she's coming back from an injury.
Yeah.
Physical and mental.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And that does make her completely different from how she was in the first 2 seasons, which was, we saw a little of her, but we didn't see as much as we've seen this last one.
The first season, we didn't even know any of their names.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
But the thing is, we just knew that she didn't like Burnham for the insurrection. That was the only thing we knew. It was like, that one over there doesn't like Burnham. And that was kind of our character.
Well, she's lost half her hair. She lost one of her eyes.
Yeah.
She's got the implant now. All because of the thing with Burnham. So that was understandable.
Correct.
But my hot little firecracker Detmer behind the wheel with Rin, who's also one of my favorite characters, instant favorite character.
And he was immediately clutching that cat.
Oh, I love, I don't like this cat. That's like most of my friends who come over. They're like, I hate cats. I don't like your cats, John. My cats are like, you're the best.
The only cat
to look at.
The closest I've ever had to having a cat was over the summer. I had one that I kept giving water to that was living underneath my my Dodge Ram, because anything comes in my yard, feathers, fur, scales, my dog kills it.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Well, she was raised feral. Born feral, so.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting how the only person that can understand grudge is Book. Everyone's kind of like, "What's a cat do?"
I just love how uncomfortable Tilly was with Grudge in that one episode, just holding it out way out here.
Yeah, well, that's another connection that Rin has with Tilly, that they both can handle that cat.
Yeah, and I always kind of pictured Tilly as being a cat person, honestly.
Absolutely. Physically she is.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing I always like to point out. Noah Averbach Katz plays Rin. He is the husband of Mary Wiseman, who plays Tilly.
Probably has cats at home.
So it's super cute that they had a scene together. They had like a little dust up early on of like, you got a bad attitude, mister, with her to him. Just these really cute moments between this couple. And honestly, I think they're terrific actors. So I have no problem
but
with this.
let's talk about his interaction they had. The big reveal at the end of the episode is that the Emerald Chain is running out of dilithium as well, because apparently Tilly gets this because she's number one inside the universe, but outside, you're like, oh, he's telling his wife the news. That's cute. What is going to be Discovery's next move with this information? Because it seems to me Starfleet is not quick to act on things like this.
From outside the show, the whole everybody's running out of dilithium thing bothers me, because there should have been ships in orbit around Navarre, because Romulans don't use dilithium.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
All Romulan vessels are run on a warp core that is powered by a quantum singularity. That's a black hole, Flobo.
Oh, okay, thank you. I went to public school. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I can tell you when I said quantum singularity. I'm a physics guy. I'm a huge
And you're a football guy? Which one is it, Jake?
I have no life. That's what it is. I go to work and I read.
Many disciplines. That's a good thing. Well, that's absolutely true, and that's really funny too, because I think we're so like westernized. Star Trek itself is so westernized, and we forget things like if there was a parallel civilization to ours, they wouldn't get their power from the same places we do necessarily. So the fact that they're able to create these tiny black holes and manipulate the energy coming off of them.
Which we can actually do today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Large Hadron Collider.
Oh, yeah.
Can create miniature black holes.
That doesn't fit in a ship, though.
Yes, but it also
it's
butterfly
like 10 miles.
It also butterfly affected us, and this is why people think that Chris Canyon used to say "Who better than Canyon?" when he used to say, "Who's better than Canyon?"
Are you sure? I feel like this is one of those like Mandela effects.
Sure.
He had a T-shirt that said "Who better?" I actually have it. I had it.
WWE. In WCW, it was "Who's," and I think they can change it.
Now that's been taken over by the guy he trained, Brian Cage.
Oh yeah.
Well, Brian Cage is a lot of things.
My good friend Brian, he and I are pals. We were tag team partners for sure.
Oh yeah? Well, I knew Brian when he tagged with Sean Ricker. So there.
I tagged with him before that when he was Nightclaw. And I was... Okay, you see the mask in the middle there?
Yeah, Roscoe P. Sutton?
Meg American. That was
Meg American?
Yeah.
Wow.
Meg American.
And Meg American wasn't
he doesn't live too far from Flobo.
Brian Cage or Meg American?
Yeah, Brian Cage. He's just over in Chico.
A lot of them are over here. I used to be the part of that community.
Yeah, but going back to it, I mean that Navarre should have had a whole bunch of freaking warbirds defending it.
Yeah. They're making it up as they go along. Yeah. I see a lot of conversation online about it, and I mean, when people bring up these good points, they're not wrong. Unfortunately, of the 20 voices that were in the room to put they weren't in the room, they were in a Zoom call to put the episode together. Yeah. There were a lot of points that they missed.
Well, and they may retcon it by saying that it wasn't just dilithium that was taken out; it was a whole subspace thing with the burn, which thankfully we finally found it. But
right, fellas, do you remember? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
I'm kind of hoping that the signal that they found inside of coming from the from where the burn originated, that nebula, is the Enterprise J. That would be a big callback to Enterprise.
We know that it's Starfleet, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a Federation distress signal.
And what do we know about the J? What do we know about the Enterprise J?
Almost absolutely nothing, unless you add in Star Trek Online canon.
Which we don't. We can't.
And in Star Trek Online canon, it was the flagship at the Battle of Procyon 5, which actually does tie into Enterprise just a little. Daniels mentioned it in passing that they were on the Enterprise J at the Battle of Procyon 5 when he pulled Archer into the future. So I would really like to see that, because after that universe class, I don't see how they could make another Enterprise. That one pretty much had it all.
Retire the name, damn it. No, you were saying something, John? I didn't catch what you were saying.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm a pot smoker. I forgot.
Oh,
I was changing the subject, though. But
I wish I could use that excuse.
Hey, come to California, man. It's like grocery stores down here.
Oh, dude, I take so many pills, so many medications a day that I do more damage to my body than anybody does with any drugs.
Man, that is the American way, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
How does it feel to watch Discovery with a drug commercial during every commercial break?
That if I ever run for political office, it will be on the singular platform that I will make sure that drug company ads cannot last more than 10 seconds.
Thank you.
It'd be like the Micro Machines guy from Galoob. Get today.
He's already the guy doing the side effects. He might as well have the whole commercial like the side effects.
Speaking of side effects, we mentioned top of the show, but Georgiou's going through some stuff. But before we get into what's going on with Georgiou, I want to say that this season it seems that Dr. Culber is kind of like the Greek chorus. He's just getting himself involved in everyone's mental space.
Yeah.
But we now know, kind of, sort of, that Georgiou is possibly, maybe, dying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
what do you think?
I actually have a
worse.
theory on this.
Oh, go for it.
I think she got split in the transition.
Okay.
Split from, like, what parts were split?
Just duplicated.
Like there's another Georgiou's on top
There's
of
another
her?
Georgiou, and that's how we're going to get her Section 31 series. Because there's still a Georgiou back in the 23rd century.
Interesting. Because I got a theory from this episode that went in the opposite direction, where they say if you went over one universe, you're going to have this breakdown. If you came from the past, you're going to have this breakdown. I feel like they're going to send her back to the past.
Oh,
I do like the splitting idea, because sending her back to the past is illegal. It should not happen. It's, I believe, scientifically impossible at this point.
Yeah.
And if she already existed because of a split, then we'll just pick up where that character is. But are you suggesting? Well, Jake, are you suggesting that perhaps she might exist on both shows?
I'm suggesting that this is their way of getting her off Discovery so that she can start her Section 31 show. There is a mission in Star Trek Online where you have the Vulcan Admiral Tanay. She was also on the Enterprise C. But she got dropped off on a penal colony with the rest of the crew of the Enterprise C, but yet there's still an Admiral Tanay. They had to temporarily restitch her together.
Oh, wow. Oh,
and we know that Starfleet at this point has that technology because before the burn, they had actually just finished the Temporal Cold War.
Yeah, but we can't call STO canon, though, can we?
Well, I mean, if I remember correctly, do not quote me on this because
I will.
Because Voyager is I just didn't like it, so it wasn't one of my ones that I remember whole part and parcel. But I believe they did that a lot with Seven. The Temporal Fleet did that a lot with Seven in an episode.
Okay.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah,
gotta look those
I understand
up.
that.
Kept pulling her further from the past because she kept dying in the future.
Right.
So just be
I
reversing the
understand
process.
having Section 31. I was willing to be okay with the fact if Georgiou did not make this show, but it seems that they're gonna make that happen for whatever reason. And either theory is as good as gold for me, because I don't know how you go from the future back to the past without breaking a few laws, cracking a few eggs. But if she's actually being split, that would explain why she's blacking out and having this other, I guess, Terran memories. It looks like still coming back and flooding back into her mind.
Yeah, it's sending her back is a total violation of physics, both standard and quantum, as we know them now. And right now, the only way you can travel to the future, all you'd be able to do is watch it, because you would literally be in the event horizon of a black hole till you see the future.
And I kind of could see it as maybe they could reunite. I really like the split thing because maybe they could reunite her mind into that body, a la Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
Which again,
well, I mean, I believe they used in Voyager. I believe they used temporal transporters to do it.
Wow, I gotta look that up, man. I totally did not catch the temporal. Was this? How would you characterize it? How would I look this up, Jake? Would I be looking up temporal wars, temporal or Cold War? What would I be looking?
No, because temporal Cold War was specifically an Enterprise thing.
Yeah.
Let me look that up and I'll get back to you on it.
Because I've gotten so spotty. I've watched all the shows, but I'm very spotty with Voyager because it was my least favorite. And
gotta bite the bullet, man. Gotta go through it. Just slog through it.
And I'll do it now.
Yeah,
because now we do shows about it, Flobo.
Well, here's the funny thing, and people are I'm gonna get tomatoed for this one, but like, imagine watching 2 seasons of Discovery and then going back to TNG. It's like, oh my god! And then that first season of TNG, it's like, wait, you're gonna stop the show to have a clip show? It's 1 season. Like, this sucks. So I totally get it, but you gotta get a slog through it, man. That's
there. When I was gonna watch Picard, I found an article because I had been doing some searching, and I found an article, and I think it might have been AV Club or somebody pretty cool, who put together, these are like the 10 episodes you're going to want to watch because they're constantly referring to them in Picard season 1.
Yeah.
And it was a tremendous thing to go through to watch early episodes of, data-centered episodes of Next Generation. And, really, I should have gone back to the original series and seen the episode with Dr. Daystrom because the Daystrom Institute is such a big deal. And it started in the original series. But anyway, it is so funny to go back, especially first season TNG, and just hear like that terrible synthesizer.
Yeah.
That's what I tell everybody who ripped on Discovery the first 2 seasons. I'm like, go back and watch TNG season 1 and season 2. Yeah. Not only were the uniforms terrible, per Sir Patrick himself, who had back problems from them, the stuff was things that Roddenberry had planned for season 4 and season 5 of the original series. So they were episodes from the 60s.
Yeah, I remember reading articles at the time from TV Guide saying wrong direction. This is totally a mistake. They should probably cancel it. But hey, people never know what they want until it's gone. A lot like wrestling fans. But speaking of things I discovered this week, that distress signal is a bop because everyone knows it, everyone can hear it, but Saru sees right through it because he hates fun. Distress signals, man. How deep does this rabbit hole go, John? Let me know.
I love the fact that it is related to Starfleet, because we have, especially after going through last week's episode, we know that it did not start with SB-19. Mm-hmm. And even though the Vulcans are so scientifically advanced, they had just finished their thinking there.
I just found it, John. It's relativity. It's the 24th episode of season 5.
Season 5, and this is a Voyager?
Yeah.
Right on. I will program that into my viewing. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm very excited that this is a Starfleet secret that we're uncovering.
Yeah.
Because as Jake mentions, who knows? It could be an Enterprise. It could be another ship out of time. It could be all kinds of crazy stuff. It could be another secret ship. We do not know.
The question I have is, do you think it's from a person, a people, a section within Starfleet? Just for predictions, I guess. What do you have it on?
That's a good question.
Section 31 wouldn't use a Federation distress call.
Okay.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
No, they wouldn't.
Would they?
No, they wouldn't. Pretty much Section 31's I can never get that right. Their MO is if you're in distress, die.
Right.
No
They're not a
secrets
rescue or exploration. They're weapons and R&D on weapons. Yeah.
I would be fine if it's an Enterprise or an Excelsior.
So a ship, basically.
Yeah.
And not like
yeah.
distressed people on a planet.
I want one with but I want one with a big name. I want Enterprise or Excelsior.
Like, would you be okay with a Titan?
No.
Wow.
The deep thought. No.
Well, here's the thing: the Titan is kind of Picard canon, and the Titan would have been at the worst destroyed or at the least decommissioned 500 years before the current events on Discovery.
Wait, hold on. So
Would have been
Picard
early
canon
25th
supersedes, or the online canon supersedes Picard? Wouldn't
No.
Picard be more canon than online?
Oh no, Picard is no. What I'm saying is, Picard happens in the early 25th.
Okay.
So if they found the Titan in that nebula, that would be a ship out of time for 500 years.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
No, 600 because it would have been late 24th, early 25th. So roughly 200 years after Discovery left the 23rd century.
I'm still in.
The
And it
the
wouldn't be
amount
Riker.
Yeah, the amount of time that's in the future, that we've gone into the future, prohibits a lot of things. Like when they talk about the Bajoran exchange, and a bunch of fans that I saw, and I agreed with them, were like, "Ooh, does that mean like DS9? Like, it became the Bajoran exchange?" Well, why would it? That was hundreds of years ago. It was already a well-worn space station.
CBS has not come out and said that this is not canon, but there is a story that around the late 25th century, Deep Space Nine Terok Nor was deconstructed and an actual space dock starbase was built around Patriot.
Oh, that's very cool. I mean, it's a great place to have a base.
But
They've established that.
Yeah, Impact Nord's probably still there somewhere, and that's a great place for undesirables to build a space station. Is right there in the guts of Impact Nord.
Right.
I wonder how long, or I wonder how deep this goes. I mean, it'd be kind of easy peasy if it was one ship had one signal. I don't know. I'm looking for a swerve there, so I'm not sure what it is. That's what
I hear you.
If there was a swerve, the one that I would have wanted is now impossible with the death of the actor, but it would be hilarious if it was the Chimera under Nog.
That'd be cool. I can recast that, no problem.
Hey, I'm all up for more Nog.
Yeah, why not?
May he rest in peace.
Oh.
Aaron Eisenberg.
A sweet guy, too. I knew people who knew him, said he's just one of the sweetest guys.
Oh, and
Yeah.
speaking of people that we are learning more from, Adira identifies as non-binary officially on the show. I assume in the framework of her being Trill, and therefore they prefer they as a pronoun. Stamets
I know the
had to
actor
learn.
is the same way.
Actually, the same way, and it was, I guess, it was under the impression that Adira would be identified as a she until the first 7 episodes, until now, when that scene happened, and now Stamets had to be the first one to get that information, furthering their relationship. John Webber, we talked about representation in the show before. It's a beautiful thing. It is something that I, as a garden variety heterosexual cisgendered male, I'm still beginning to learn. But it's pretty cool to see it on such a big platform as Star Trek Discovery. Thoughts?
What a beautiful scene that was, because it doesn't come with the machismo that we all know from our friends and from our lives, where people are like, well, I'm sorry, Caitlyn Jenner's still a he to me. Well, that's just rude. That's rude. And there's no reason to be rude when someone tells you. It's such a beautiful little scene where she's not pushing it. She's not high dudgeon. She's not insulting him. She's not, making a big deal out of it. She's saying, this is what I want. This is how I've always felt. This was a great little educational scene in how to discuss non-binary and trans existence.
Yeah.
And the best reason, which is, this is what makes me comfortable. And you're a person I'm comfortable with. Please do this thing that makes me feel comfortable. And of course, it's Stamets.
Oh, yeah.
So he's going to do it.
Yeah,
Well, and
it was
I was always kind of the opinion that Trill should be referred to that way anyway.
That's a good point.
But yeah, I mean, Flobo knows after dealing with us through 3 different iterations of a podcast that, you know, my co-host, he's the nice one. I'm literally on our podcast, I am the representative of alpha male and toxic masculinity and redneck.
If a devil's advocate needed a lawyer, it's this guy.
Yeah. You know, I'm the one always making fun of the guys because, you know, they're driving 4 cylinders and I've got a, you know, V8 Hemi Dodge Ram sitting out in the driveway.
But you're Mopar. That doesn't count. Get a real vehicle.
But yeah, well, it's gone. As soon as I've got the money, that thing's becoming a Toyota Tundra. But even I am like, I love this.
Oh, good.
I love it. You know, you go around my town here, and you know, you hear all kinds of hateful things, but
Right.
I love it in the fact that Star Trek has always been this way. If people I see people on the forums all the time talk about, oh, they're shoving this down our throats. Have you watched a single episode of the original series at all?
Right.
There is an African American woman. There is a Russian, an alien,
right.
and a farm boy from Iowa.
Right. And then whatever the doctor is, he's Southern when he's drunk.
I think he's from. If I remember correctly, I believe McCoy's from Tennessee or Kentucky.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Tennessee because Kentucky's not as good.
Well, he does love his mint juleps.
Yeah, I do say this as an SEC fan.
So let me ask you a question there, Jake. Why is it that's the case? Why is it this franchise that's been around for generations, literally, is seen as now being the "I don't woke" show now? I mean, obviously the show is pulling from other series, but why the hate now?
Because it's dealing with a more polarized audience. I mean, it's no revelation that we're living in literally the most polarizing time in not just our country, but most of the world. And, you know, especially here in the U.S., that's a big dividing line. It's a huge dividing line without naming parties on either side so that we don't cause stuff. And I knocked my mic halfway across the room. Yeah. Because I'm talking with my hands now, even though it hurts because I worked out too hard today. But that's one of those hot buttons that really sets off a lot of the division. You know,
Jake, what do you think of this? And this is my way of sort of describing that. A conservative mind, literally following the word, wants to conserve. Mm-hmm. So this is always the way it's been. Men go out and they're the hunter-gatherers. They're the ones who go out in the workforce. Women are taking care of kids and home and hearth. There are different deviations from that are fine. Nobody has a big problem with that, but there's a certain sense of the conservative that I want to conserve how things are.
Yeah.
Change for the sake of change is not necessarily a good thing. It's probably not a good thing at all from the conservative standpoint. And then from the progressive mind comes, nope, change everything, burn the patriarchy, change how we do everything. And as in all things, a balance is better than one side ruling another. But
yeah, I mean, you're kind of in my wheelhouse here, John, because I'm actually moderate. So I take the best from both sides. But
you see both extremes.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, I mean, my mother and my brother are all so far out in left field they'd even be a foul ball in the Mets stadium.
Hey.
Cardinal
now
Nation.
I hate you, sir. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine.
Cardinal Nation. And I've got a buddy who from the service who he's so far right I can't even see him.
Yeah.
So I'm always stuck in the middle, and everything. I hate using this, especially on a Star Trek show, but IDIC. Infinite diversity and infinite combinations. Literally the Vulcan promo code, if you will. but people aren't getting that. And I think as a species, that really speaks to our immaturity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's something that Roddenberry was trying to get through people's heads in the original series and the early seasons of Next Gen. And I think Discovery's taking that ball and running with it, honestly.
Yeah.
I think they kind of got away from it a little bit in DS9 and Voyager and Enterprise, but then Discovery and Picard have kind of picked up that ball and run with it.
Right. Yeah. Right. I think there's a sort of built-in sense of supremacy. I've talked about this on the show before too, that people need to come down from. You know, that's not real. That's something we said. We being white straight Christian males, we said that for a long time. We're the best. And I was raised like you. I was raised in a very country area, and people were like, you're gonna grow up and you're gonna see how it is. And that's not what I grew up into. I grew up into a very wide world full of many different people.
Well, I mean, and part of my unique outlook is when I was in basic training, I was one of 3 white guys. That was it. There was 3 of us in my entire flight.
Are we talking like 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people? Like how many?
100.
Okay.
I should say in my dorm, there was probably 3 white guys and 5 or 6 white girls. And of course, yes, Flobo, we were kept separate. I saw your eyes opening.
Hey, I'm here to judge, man. USA.
I was one of 2 in my flight. One of 3 in the whole building. My entire flight was Puerto Rican, Asian, and 2 African Americans. When you're with people who are a different culture or a different, I even hate to say the word color, it doesn't matter because you're all there doing the same thing.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of what Roddenberry really pushed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And like I said, Discovery's really picked it up, and people aren't going to be happy. But how many people were happy when Kirk kissed Uhura?
Everyone was happy.
No.
The season was over then. What are you talking about? It was all done.
There were some affiliates that didn't show that episode.
True.
And I can't remember what they did show, but it was like ridiculous. They were they would show anything rather than show that episode.
Yep.
And that went through, when I was watching as a child. So this is after the series ends in the late 60s, it goes to syndication almost immediately. And that's when I started watching it. And still then they just could not handle.
I got it on Sundays when I decided I was no longer going to church. I was going to the church of Captain Kirk. We had Andy Griffith when I woke up, and then 2 back-to-back episodes of the original series. I'm like, I don't need church.
You learned a lot of morals.
I got Spock. Spock's teaching me.
Seriously.
Man,
seriously.
Pastor's but there's no ad breaks in the Bible. All right.
Yeah, but like you were saying, John, about the gender roles, I'm like compared to, say, people in California, for the most part, I'm pretty conservative, but that's a big step. I'm a hillbilly. I was born and raised in the Ozark Mountains on the border of Missouri and Arkansas.
Oh, there you go. Wow.
I'll tell you right now, I am 100% against gender roles for one reason only. I want a wife that hunts.
Yeah.
Because it's 5 o'clock in the morning, it's cold as hell, and I don't want to do it.
It's like not even alone. I just don't want to do it.
I do like the deer, but I don't want to go get it.
Right. Fair enough, man. And I think when I was a kid, of all the comics and superheroes, I was always drawn to the Green Lantern Corps because once you signed up, once you got the ring, more or less, you were part of this purpose higher than self. Didn't matter what country or planet you were or sector you were from. So that's my reference for the week.
Only problem is you got a super suit that was animated.
Well, you know what? It was 2011.
Shout out
different
Ryan
time.
Reynolds.
Yeah, well, okay. On that note, it's time for us to get out of here. This has been Commander's Log, the unofficial Star Trek Discovery post show. I'm pissed off now, but please, Jake, if anyone wants to find you and become your friend, for Lord knows why, how will they find you online?
I am at Giles TEM. I am on both Twitter and Instagram. Pretty much don't come on my Instagram unless you want pictures of a 8-year-old Transylvanian hound shoved down your throat.
So do it, or
you can also find the 2 podcasts, the one that I produce, and which also has Flobo as a special guest many times, the 685, as well as the Elder Millennials podcast, which my co-host tries to get into touchy-feely subjects, and I'm not having it, so I just bust his chops the entire time.
he does.
Yeah. You can find that on your podcast, podcast software of choice.
Right on.
Great. My captain, where can the world find you?
You can always find me on Twitter at Hello John Webber. It's just like Hello Kitty, but John Webber. And Instagram, same handle, Hello John Webber.
I hate you all.
Hey, you have a unique name. You got to have your name. You're lucky.
It's like Hello
Flobo.
Kitty. Yeah. Well, thank you, because it's at Flobo Boyce or whatever you do your social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Flobito at Instagram and Flobito.com. If you want to know more about this show and all the other shows underneath the Flobito umbrella, newamsterdam.com. That's K-N-E-W, Amsterdam.com. But until next time,
Also,
John.
go to Flobo's shirt store, because I almost wore my Flobito. I almost wore my Flobito Tonight shirt.
Oh, I take it back. You're awesome. You're the best person ever. I'm sorry what I said. But until next time,
Live long and prosper.